Hey, I'm Rob Kosberg here with Bestseller Publishing. Excited to be with you today. Have a lot to share with you. I want to talk to you today about using LinkedIn. And specifically, I want to talk to you about some incredible organic and kind of direct outreach methods that we've been using and have been using very, very successfully. And I want to share with you how you can use a LinkedIn client getting strategy, a number of them, to do several really cool things. Whether it's trying to connect with an influencer, whether it's trying to, directly have a good flood of great clients and prospects coming into your funnel, LinkedIn is a great place for you to be. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to share some of my screen at various times, but for the most part, I'm just going to go through step by step the things that you need to be thinking about when it comes to using LinkedIn. The first thing that I want to talk to you about is when it comes to LinkedIn, your profile is really, really important. So let me do this. Let me go on LinkedIn and let me share my screen right now with you so you can see my LinkedIn profile and what we've done on my profile to optimize it. Okay, so let's take a look at that together, and I'll share with you just 2 or 3 things that are really helpful. So this is my LinkedIn profile. I have, around 7,000 connections. Now, I'm not actively using my profile. What we're trying to do with LinkedIn is we're trying to fill up my author development coaches' calendars. And I felt like the best way to do that was not on my own LinkedIn profile, but I did this in the past, and so my profile has been built out really, really nicely. So here's the things that you need to think about with your profile. Number one, right in the beginning, under your name, you want that part of your profile, that description of who you are and what you do, you want that to be like a headline for an ad. Now, you don't want to be super salesy, but you want to let somebody know as soon as they see your picture, as soon as they see your background, you want to let them know right away what it is that you do and who it is that you help. So I have helping coaches, consultants, and entrepreneurs become best-selling authors and get featured on TV and radio, guaranteed, okay? Makes it really simple, really clear. This is who I help. If you are a coach, a consultant, an entrepreneur of any kind, and are thinking of writing a book, well, I'm the guy that helps people to write the books and also to get featured on TV and radio, and I have a guaranteed service. If you're someone that's interested in that or maybe has been struggling, then guess what? You read that and you immediately think, okay, this is somebody that may be able to help me if I'm interested. So you want to be really, really clear. Second thing is you want to show in your background, as much as you can, something that would catch the eye, and if possible, speak about what it is that you do, okay? So, of course, I have an image of various clients of mine and their book covers, something that I had Steve, my graphic artist, in-house create. Number 2, the About section. Now, the About section is really important because in the About section, you want to have a couple of different things. Number 1, you do want to have some information about yourself, but primarily, you want to have some information about how you can add value to your prospective client, okay? That is really important. So, what do I have? Well, I have here, right off the bat, thinking of writing your own best-selling book and getting media exposure? Well, go here to learn more. So I send anybody that's interested to this page that is a page for them to fill out a strategy session application, but it has a number of videos on it that are very instructional, informational. So right off the bat, yes, I'm leading them off LinkedIn, but really I'm sending them to what we would call an indoctrination page, something that helps them to get to know who I am. I also have a testimonial from a former U.S. ambassador who's a good friend and client of mine. And then I have some information about me. I'm a Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestseller, so you're going to want to put your best foot forward. But again, that's not the primary thing that you want. What I love is how does bestseller publishing add value to your business? So you want to tell the prospect, the potential connection that's looking at your LinkedIn profile, you want to tell them how you can add value to them and how you can help them. And of course, I have those details. And you can see I got some fancy check marks and something that will catch people's eye. Okay, so that About section, really important. Next, any type of videos, Any type of articles that you've posted, you want to have that in your featured section so people can see. If you got testimonial videos or something that you've created for your business, really, really important. The dashboard is just, of course, my own insights. Experience, of course, you want to keep your experience as much as possible to the very thing that you're doing right now for people. So experience is important, but if you've had 11 different, businesses in the last 3 years, you might want to hone it in on the things that you're actually doing for people that you're trying to attract into your business. Skills and endorsements, obviously that's good. And the more connections you have, the more endorsements you're going to have from people. Recommendations, if you can get them, and you should, reach out to people, ask for recommendations, etc. I only have 9. It's not something that I focused on, but you need to have as many as possible. And then I love accomplishments, projects that you're doing, or publications. So for your best-selling book, you want to note it. I noted mine: Publish, Promote, Profit, Wall Street Journal, and USA Today best-selling book, and I've notated a couple of other things. So most importantly in your profile, though, is right out of the gate, your images, your headline, as we'll call it, and your about section. You want to let people know right out of the gate who it is that you're trying to attract. You want to speak to that ideal person, okay? So let me jump back off of that for a moment and go back to my document so I can see exactly what it is. So profile needs to be dialed in. That's number one. If you don't have a great dialed in profile, then you have to start right there. And I've given you some simple strategies to do that. If you want to go back and look at my profile, do that at any time. It's just linkedin.com/Rob Kosberg. That's it. Really, really simple. And you can just kind of model mine, model my images, but of course, for your business. So I want to give you 3 strategies, if you will. Strategy number 1 is how to connect with influencers. Now, why would you want to connect with an influencer? Well, number 1, you'd want to connect with an influencer because let's say you wanted a forward for your book and you wanted an influencer in that field to write a forward or write a testimonial or write an endorsement for your book. And you've never met him or her, so you want to use LinkedIn to initiate that connection. So I'm going to give you a couple strategies on that. Number 2, I'm going to talk to you about an indirect client attraction method and give you 4 different strategies there. And then I'm going to talk about the thing that we're working hard on, which is direct client strategy, which is all about direct messaging or DMing within the LinkedIn platform. Okay? So number 1, the influencer strategy. How do you connect with influencers? Maybe for a forward, an endorsement, maybe for a joint venture. Maybe you think your book or your course or something would be great in front of their audience. Whatever the reason is, influencers are a great way to grow your business and a great way to grow your own status, right? Your own how others kind of view you in your marketplace. So the number 1 way, and I'm going to give you 4 direct ways to connect with influencers on LinkedIn. Number 1 is recommend them. Remember I showed you on my page recommendations, and I had 9. Well, guess what? Every time there's a recommendation, someone gives me a recommendation, it's sent to me by LinkedIn, and I notate it. Wow, someone gave me a recommendation. I don't have all that many, so if someone did that, I would feel like, okay, I feel a sense of obligation, and I want to respond. Now don't make it up, right? But if this is somebody that's an influencer and maybe you've read his book or her book, maybe you've watched stuff, maybe you've learned stuff from them on YouTube or on LinkedIn, then reach out to them, give them a recommendation, write a recommendation and say, their content, their material is fantastic. I've learned so much. I've directly benefited in way 1, 2, and 3, etc. That's going to go directly to them, and they're going to take note of that. They're going to notice that, right? Now, if they have 10,000 recommendations, they may not, but most of the time they're going to because it's something that LinkedIn is sending directly. So recommend them, write something and connect with them. Make it authentic, make it real. This is somebody that, has done something meaningful for you. Number 2, comment on their posts on LinkedIn. LinkedIn doesn't get as much traffic on their news feed, on their post, as Facebook does. So comment on their post. And by commenting on their post and, offering something of value, sharing something, etc., is really, really helpful. People will notate that, especially since there isn't as much attention on the LinkedIn newsfeed. Number 3, share their content. Just like you can do that on Facebook and other social platforms, share their content. And then last but not least, direct message them. DM them only after you've done the other things, okay? That way your name, your image, your profile has come across their email, has come across their LinkedIn platform several times. So when you DM them, you're going to be much more likely to get a great response from them because they've seen that you've been interactive in a meaningful way with them. And, people feel a sense of obligation when others are giving to them. So that's a great way to connect with influencers that you've never met and that you ultimately want something from, right? You want to build a relationship. You want to do a joint venture. You want to get them to forward your book or to give some type of recommendation for your book, etc. Okay? That's the influencer strategy. Number 2, indirect client attraction. Indirect client attraction is really a content strategy. So number 1 is posting great content. All right. So when I say posting great content, I mean in a couple of different ways. The first way that I mean it is you can take articles off of Medium, Entrepreneur, Success, any great business platform. If, for example, you're sharing some type of business article, and you can share that article and then ask some type of engaging question about that article. So for example, if I have a new ad that I'm running for an old Entrepreneur Magazine article that was done on me about how to write a book and make $100,000 per month on using your book and using Facebook and Instagram strategies. If somebody posted that on LinkedIn and then tagged me in it and made some kind of meaningful content, or comment on there like, hey, just read this great article from Rob Kosberg, tagged me in it, and said, Rob teaches this strategy and I've been following him for some time and his content's really good. Then I'm going to, number 1, as the influencer, I'm going to notice that, but also other people are. And so if you ask them, hey, what is your have you ever written a book and have you used it to make money? And now you're asking for engagement on that content itself. So this isn't content you've written, it's content you're sharing of other people's, but you're asking for engagement so you can get people to comment on it. More people will see it and there will be some virality to it. Number 2 way, again, indirect client attraction, is write your own articles. So anytime you have an article, like a blog post, you should share that blog post on LinkedIn. If you write on an ongoing basis, let's say that you write a long Facebook or Instagram article, kind of like a pseudo blog post, then you should also share that on LinkedIn. Anything that is great content of yours from other platforms, bring it over to LinkedIn so people will begin seeing your stuff, enjoying your stuff, and your stuff getting attention to it. That will create some indirect client attraction. Number 3, post videos. So if you've created videos or others' videos that are helpful for one reason or another, post those videos. And then last but not least, LinkedIn groups are a fantastic way for you to be engaged with your ideal client. Now, I'm going to talk more about that in just a second when I talk about direct client attraction. But let's say that your direct client is a financial advisor, which is true for me. Now, my direct clients are also coaches and consultants and doctors and dentists. But let's just pick one of those industries and say financial advisor. So guess what? If I was looking for financial advisors and I'm in a group of 26,000 financial advisors, then any engagement I have in that group is with my ideal client. So that box is checked right out of the gate. So you should, and I believe it's 50 groups that you can join within LinkedIn. You should join groups within LinkedIn that are groups of your ideal client. What a lot of people do, and you can do this a little, but I don't recommend it, is they will join groups of professions that they're in. For example, I'm a publisher, and let's say that I join a group of publishers. Well, guess what? I'm not going to find clients in that group, right? Now, I might learn a thing or two, and it's great to connect with peers and etc. But that's not why I'm using LinkedIn, right? Sure, 1 out of 50 groups wouldn't hurt, but I'd use the other 49 to put myself directly in where my ideal clients are. Okay, so figure out where your ideal clients are, what groups they're in, and then be in those groups, engage in those groups, share in those groups, and that is an indirect way to attract your ideal client. Last but not least, and most important strategy, is the direct client attraction strategy. This is something that we've been working on for some time, and quite honestly, I've done it in a hit and miss fashion. With some organic LinkedIn strategies a couple of years ago, were bringing on $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 a month in clients just from LinkedIn organically. But when I say organically, I don't mean organically in the sense that, I posted something and they just kind of naturally came to me. When I say organically, I mean non-paid. And what I focus on, what I like, is paid advertising. Well, I haven't found a great paid advertising strategy on LinkedIn. And so I've moved away. In the past, I moved away from LinkedIn and focused instead on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google AdWords, etc. But that was a mistake, because in the same way that I write a check to Facebook every month, I can write a check to an agency that does strategies like I'm going to share with you in just a moment, that will do all of these things on my profile or one of my author development coaches' profiles. Now, hopefully this isn't too confusing, because I want to share with you what we're doing so that you can either imitate it yourself, or down the road, if this works and this group I'm working with works out, then I'm going to recommend them all to you. But first, I wrote the check myself to make sure that they do. So I'm going to give you 6 steps to direct client attraction on LinkedIn. Number 1, the cool thing, and I shared about this in groups just a moment ago, is you choose who it is that you're connecting with on LinkedIn. In other words, the groups that you're in, the people that you're trying to connect with, you only want to connect with who your ideal prospects are. So going back to the example I gave just a moment of bestseller publishing, if my ideal prospects are financial advisors, doctors, coaches, whether business or some other type of coach, consultants, etc., then I would want to make sure that the strategy we're doing when it comes to outbound connections, right, trying to connect with the right people, that I would only want that list, a list of 8, 10, 12 different professions, to be the ones that we are trying to connect to. So guess what? Anybody that gets back to me, I know automatically they are an ideal prospect for me. Now, I don't know how much money they have. I don't know what's going on in their life. I don't know if they want a book. But I know that the first box is checked, and that is they're in the right profession for me. So you need to figure out first who the right type of client is for you, and know that, number 1, you choose that person. You're going to choose who it is that you are directly reaching out to on LinkedIn, and that is a massive advantage. I don't have that advantage on Facebook because people are coming to me. So guess what? All kinds of people can come to me. People who are writing books that I have no way to help them on those particular books. Now, it's not entirely true because we launch children's books now and fiction books and other things. But for the most part, we do a lot of nonfiction business-related books, and that's kind of a specialty of ours. So if I could just really narrow down on LinkedIn, that's who I would narrow down to, and you can on LinkedIn. So that's number 1. You choose the right person to connect with. Number 2, you want to reach out to that person in a way. Now, we're talking about an outreach strategy. You want to reach out to that person, DM them, and ask them to kind of begin a conversation and see if they want to connect. In other words, the conversation might go like this. This is not a direct connection of yours, but it's someone that you're interested in because you know that they may be somebody that you can help. So you would reach out to them and say, hey, I saw you in the financial advisor group, and I wanted to know if you wanted to connect, but before you say you want to connect, why don't you take a look at my profile and see if you think it might be a good idea for us to connect. So in other words, you're not sending a direct connection request. You're saying, hey, take a look at my profile, take a look at who I am and what I do, and then after that, if you're interested, send me a connection request. Now, why would you do that? You would do that because you want to connect with people that are already engaged. right? If you just send this raw connection request, which I get all the time, and because I'll get so many of them, 100 in a week or, a couple of hundred in a month, I'm not looking at each one of them directly. So all I'm doing is I'm clicking the button that says add them all in. And then if anybody starts spamming me or whatever, then I disconnect with them. But that's not the kind of person that you want to connect with, like me. You want to connect with somebody that says, hey, take a look at my profile first and see if it's something you're interested in. And if it is, then go ahead and connect with me. Now you know you have an engaged person because they've sent you a connection request because they looked at your profile. So that's number 2. Number 3, after they request a connection with you and you accept it, you want to go ahead and reach out and offer something of value to them. So you would say something like, I see that you are a blank. Again, using my example, I see you are a financial advisor. Well, I help financial advisors to publish a book and use that book to attract new clients into their business and get on radio, TV, etc. I have a free blank. In my case, it would be a free book, but it could be a video or a tip sheet or something. I have a free thing, a free book that describes exactly how you can do that for your business. Would you like it? That's it. Remember, they ask for the connection now, so they're engaged. You then respond back and say, hey, you're somebody that I can help. I help people like you make $10,000 a month, make $100,000 a month, write a book, become a bestseller, get on TV, right? Deal with stress. Whatever it is that you do, I help people like you to get this result, and I have this cool free thing. Would you like it? That's it. And then you wait for a response back from them. When they respond, and a percentage of them will. Now, this is, by the way, we should talk some percentages. It's different for every industry, but this group that I'm working with that's especially adept at this, they send out 100 of these types of requests per day on my profile or on your profile. And of the 100 that they send out, they're going to get about 20 of them per day that respond back and want to connect. So it's about a 20% conversion rate where people engage with your profile and then go ahead and send a connection request. Now you can say, well, that's great, but 100 a day is a lot. It is a lot. There's software that can automate some of this stuff. So they use software and they also use VAs, virtual assistants, to do this. You can do all of that, but you can also do this on your own if you want to save the money for it. Remember, this is a consistent, ongoing strategy that you have to do. And I'm going to give you I'll keep going with the numbers. So if 20 a day are responding back, what they've found is that using this process that I'm sharing with you, right, after they connect with you, you then ask them, would you like the free cool thing? They then say, yes, they would like it. You send it to them, and then you ask them, hey, tell me a little bit about your business, and specifically in the area that you can help. So I would say, great, hey, here's the thing. Tell me a little bit about the book that you want to write and what your goal is with the book, right? So they've already told me that they're interested in it, right? Because they want the free thing. So now I'm just asking for a little bit more information. I'm building a relationship with them. I'm getting to know them a little bit, right? After a couple of days, they get the cool thing back. They may respond or they may get right back to you. In some cases, they do. But if they don't, after a couple of days, you're just going to send a message that says something like, what did you think of the book I sent you? What did you think of the video I sent you? What did you think of the tip sheet that I sent you? And when they respond back, and obviously you're going to hope that they respond great. Most cases, if it's a poor response, like if they didn't think anything of it, they didn't like it, or they never opened it, then they're not going to respond at all. But if they did open it, they did read it, they did watch the video, etc., then they're going to respond back and they're going to say, wow, that was really helpful. And your next step is to set up a one-on-one call, okay? That is the next piece and the last step, number 6, the one-on-one call. Now, here's the numbers that they've given me, and I'll let you know how true these are. But for the most part, I've seen this work out in our own strategies on LinkedIn. if you send out 100 requests a day, you're going to get 20 that will want to connect with you. And of those 20, you're going to get about another 20% or 4 that actually go all the way through this and want to schedule an appointment. Okay? So about 4 per day with 100 requests sent out. Okay? This is a bit of a numbers game. But remember, these are ideal potential clients of yours. They're in the right space. They've looked at your stuff. They've engaged with you. They've watched your video or read your book or part of your book, and now they want a phone call. This is a perfect prospect, right? At this point, this is a highly engaged and just the right person for you to be on the phone with. What this looks like is about 20 to 25 calls a week, scheduled calls a week with ideal prospects. Now, let me give you real value of what something like this is worth. As most of you know, I use my best-selling book, Publish, Promote, Profit, to attract people in. I use paid advertising, and we schedule strategy session calls for my author development coaches, and their calendars are booked up, but I spend tens of thousands of dollars a month to do that. What it boils down to and amounts to is that an actual phone appointment, and we're very adept at this. I've been doing this for 7 years, okay? So we're really good at this. But for us, an actual phone appointment for one of my team members cost me about $100, okay? So this strategy that I'm sharing with you, $100 an appointment, and that is fantastic, by the way. I mean, that's like all of our stuff is mega dialed in, and I'm using my book and a free plus, like it's done right, right? It could easily be $200, $300, $400 per phone call. So if that 100 just for us holds up, then that means 20 to 25 appointments scheduled a week. That's a value of about $2,500 a week. Like if you had to actually spend money on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube, right, like we do, that's a savings of $2,500 a week. Here's the cool thing. Why do I spend tens of thousands of dollars a month to actually do this on Facebook and Instagram? Because we make hundreds of thousands a month, right? Because we're offering a service that for our ideal clients, they write us a nice size check for. If you have the same kind of business, if you're in a service business, if you're a coach and you sell something for $5,000 or $10,000 or $2,000, and you can close 2 out of 10 people on the telephone, right? You take them through a consultative sales process and you have 10 phone calls and you bring on 2 new clients. Well, if a client is worth $5,000 to you and you have 20 phone calls in a week, now that's a busy week, right? 4 phone calls a day, 5 days a week. Well, guess what? If you close 20% of those people, you're going to close 4 new deals at $5,000. That's $20,000 a week. That's $1 million business right there, using these organic strategies from LinkedIn because it's just your ideal client. So I'm pretty excited about this. I'm testing this service that does this 100 people a day outreach. They use software and they use real physical live virtual assistants that are US based that will schedule me, my team, 20 to 25 appointments per week. By the way, they can schedule more, but we're just starting with 20 to 25. So I'm going to let you know how that works. If that's something that you're interested in, if you hear this, and maybe you're hearing this a month from now or 2 months from now, and by then it's working like gangbusters for us. But if this is something you're interested in, do me a favor, leave a comment below. Let me know that you're interested in it. You know, if you're watching this on YouTube or watching this somewhere else, then, you know, DM me, direct message me, and I'll set you up. But for my clients, my bestseller publishing clients, those of you that are watching right now, I'm working out a special arrangement for you guys where it's going to be a massive savings. And I'm talking about, this could be a service that might only cost you about $1,500 a month to get 100 booked appointments. Incredible. Per month. So I'm not promising that. Look, I may use them for a month. I'm writing my own check. I'm testing it for myself. A month may go by and this may fizzle out. Here's what I do know. This process will work for you. The biggest challenge most people have is the 100 people a day, right? The big challenge that most people have is that this takes some time to do. So that's why I'm trying to find an agency that will run this for me and run this for you if it's something you're interested in. Anyway, I'm Rob Kosberg. I went long today. I had a lot to share with you. I hope this is helpful. If it is, let me know. Leave a comment below. Tell me what your thoughts are. And if this is something you're interested in, then let me know in the chat or let me know in the comments. And I'll keep you posted over the next couple weeks of how things are going. Thanks again. Thanks for taking the time to watch this, and I hope this has been helpful. Hey, thanks so much for watching this video. Every week, we're posting tons more content to help you to publish, promote, and profit. So go ahead and subscribe now to the channel and click the bell icon to be notified whenever new content is available. And if you're interested in my latest book, Publish, Promote, Profit, just go to publishpromoteprofit.com.